All right, so today I'm going to go over how to tab your CPT 2025. I have also sent a link to the tabbing guide that I created and what pages they go on if you want to take a look at that as well. So when you first open up your CPT book, a lot of people don't see their tabs. They'll be static to your front cover. So you're just going to lightly pull them apart. You can pull them out. I pulled mine out. That's why they're not in here. You can leave them in, but it's up to you. I find it easier to pull them out. So the first few things I want to go over are my first 5 tabs. I created these out of these spare tabs that were provided. So the first one is place of service, which is the very front page. If you don't find that necessary to mark, don't mark it. It's up to you. Second was my table of contents. This is always a great quick reference in the event that you don't know what section something is in. Third one, I marked the prefixes and the suffixes and roots, because those are big things you'll be dealing with, especially in the medical field. I still struggle with them, even having past experience in the medical field. Highly suggest that one. Next, I marked the body planes. This section, especially if you're wanting to work radiology, you're going to want to take a lot of notes of how the body's broken down and what's in that section, what it's called, so you can reference this, especially during your certification exams. And then the EM guidelines, the overall guidelines. I know that there are guidelines per section, under every section for that section, but these are the overall guidelines for this book. All right, so let's begin. So your first tab you'll have is an anesthesia tab. ANES, that is what it is labeled. That is your anesthesia tab. Anesthesia starts on page 67. If you put your tabs in these little broken areas, these little white marks, it will separate them equally. Just a little tip if you're OCD like me. Next is your surgery tab. Surgery, SURG, goes on page 79. And don't mind me if I mispronounce words. I am a little dyslexic. I'm also reading upside down. Next is your integer. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. The INTEG tab. It's green. It's on page 83. That is what page that will go on. Next will be your musculoskeletal system. The green MUSC tab. It goes on page 125. Next will be your respiratory systems. This will be your green RESP tab. And this will go on page 213. Following that, we have our digestive system. It's a green tab with DIGES on it. That will go on page 343. Next is your urinary system. It's a green tab with URIN on it, and that will go on page 407. Following that will be male genitalia systems. It's a green tag. It says M/GEN. That goes on page 433. Right behind it will be the female genitalia system on page 443. Male is 433, female is 443. And it has F/GEN on it. Next is your nervous system, a green tab with NERV on it. That will go on page 465. Next will be your eye and ocular. The tab is OC/AUD, and this will go on page 507. Next is radiology. Radiology tab is red, and it has RAD on it, and this will go on page 535. Following that will be your pathology and laboratory. Your tab will say PA/LAB. That will go on page 591. All right. So this next section, you're going to have to break these up yourself. The tabs, because all of these tabs, all these green tabs right here are going to fall under the same section and different subsections. So to begin, medicine guidelines, MED, goes on page 749. Next, you'll have your vaccines and toxoids. Your VACC tab will go on page 759. Next is your psychiatry tab, PSYCH. That will go on page 765. Next, we have dialysis. Dialysis will go on page 771. Next, we have gastro. Gastro is GASTRO. This will go on page 773. Next, we have, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because I know I can't. OPHTH. That will go on page 775. And then this section is a good little chunk of pages. Behind that will be pulmonary on page 829. Pulmonaries tab is PULM. That's going to go on page 829. Next, we have allergies. Allergy tab is ALLERG. That will go on page 833. There are two tabs that are going to go on this one because they are both small sections. On page 835, you are going to put your endocrinology and your neuro. Endo, N or ENDO, and your neuro is NEURO. They will be on the same page. And last but not least for this section, we have health behavior. The tab will say health and then behave, BEHAV, and that will go on page 861. Following that, we have our Cat 2. Cat 2 goes on page 895. And then Cat 3's on page 917. All right, now we're going to start with our appendixes. Appendix A through B. Your tab will say APP, APP, A-B, Alpha-Bravo. That will go on page 985. Next will be Appendix C through F, Charlie through Foxtrot, my bad. Starting on page 1003. Next, we have our Appendix G through J, Golf through Juliet, on page 1007. This section is two singular pages. Following that will be your Appendix K through P. K through P. Kilo through Papa. That'll be on page 1011. Our last appendix will be Q through T, Q through T, quilt through tango, on page 1097. Last but not least, we will have our index tab. INDEX. This will go on page 1105. And that is all for that book. Your tab should look something like this. Mine look like this because I created those extra 5 at the top that I was telling you about in the beginning of the video. Again, these ones on top are not mandatory. I chose to label these myself.